welcome to the Film Agenda 256. My name is Patrick Sentongo. Now tonight on the show we are going to be discussing the new era of film distribution. Muzei Bwanika, the Executive Secretary of Palwood, that we are going to be discussing, which is the umbrella body for
but then
Ugandan
also very sure that
is going to be joining
you people that are watching us are also very passionate about
in the film
now
industry.
very
Muzei
many
Bwanika,
of
good
the
evening
things
and
that have been
welcome to the
happening
show.
in the
Good
film
evening,
industry
and I'm humbled
have
to join
caused,
you this evening.
a lot of controversy in the
It's
recent
been a
past.
long time,
But then also
but
that
it's been a
came
marathon
along
of
with the good
activities.
news. And part of the good news
I rarely
was
come
the
through to the Film
launch
Agenda 256.
of
The last
the
time I
Uganda
was here,
Film Festival
I was
Awards
still with
for
you
this
and the
particular
studio
year.
almost
Now,
caught fire.
on this
I think
particular
it's the
show,
reason
we want to believe
today you
that
came
stories,
dressed,
so you had
stories
fired
that are
me.
usually
Today you're dressed
art, which is
covered
usually
in
talked of as
in clothes that speak
at
to the
its
coldness in
peak
the
is the
room.
highest
This
form
time we are
of
so
human
much well
expression.
prepared
So tonight,
to
like earlier promised,
counterattack the fire that can
make
come through. But well, the discussion today is around
particular
distribution,
awards.
and for me,
join me
when I look at the film
discussion
industry in the
other
region,
than
I look back and understand that there has been a lot of growth in regards to talent, production, but also the very core stories that are told in the region. But one thing has remained clear and apparent. The issue of distribution. Our stories are rich, the production is way up there, we have the talent, but the stories are not out there, people are not consuming the stories. So one gets to think, is it an issue of our people, the audiences themselves, or there are very many other factors to it? Because when you look at some of the content that is being consumed locally here, much of it is even pirated. And I want to kick it off from there, Mzee Bwanika. Why is distribution the new battleground for you filmmakers? I won't only keep it to Uganda. I've been in engagements where filmmakers
when I discussed
have gathered from within the region to discuss the same.
Yes, distribution is not just about film. Distribution is something that cuts across. Actually, the agriculturalists, medicine, everywhere. I think it defeats logic if you engage into any activity that is not going to reward you at the end of the day. Be it the teacher, the education system. It's about distribution. So I think when it comes to creative arts, without distribution,
because
then there is no reason as to why any artist could actually engage in whatever they beat music. Because at the end of the day, it is through distribution that probably
the Uganda Film
creators are rewarded. And I think it is becoming a global issue that every creator now wants to earn from their creation. We take our children to school to study art,
for this particular night,
not just to give it out for free, but the end result, we want them to earn something. At the end of the day, you're like, okay, my child is excelling, is doing well, but you can imagine a world where filmmakers are not rewarded for what they do.
That the festival
it
includes very many things, and part
the
of
reason
those is
why we should
capacity
create
building
more.
sessions.
I get you right there. When I talked about the issue of distribution,
film
not only
screenings,
affecting
the
us
gala,
as Uganda,
which most people
Ugandan
get
film
to think
industry.
that the festival is just about that particular day, but
it's a regional issue. Actually, I might say even a continental issue.
For this particular year,
at the very start of this particular month, there was the Eastern Africa Filmmakers Summit that brought filmmakers in their various leadership structures from within the Eastern African region, which will be launched. I'm glad I was part of that particular one. I saw filmmakers from countries neighboring Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya. Even some came as far as, not as far, but Zambia was part of that representation, Tanzania, Zanzibar. And what was the significance of this summit? Because I understand Palwood was very vocal. Palwood, where your leader was very vocal in this particular summit.
So basically, the Eastern Africa Filmmakers Summit was so after today's a program under the UNESCO Referral Project that is about trying to create a permanent solution to a permanent problem of the film sector in the region. We realized from the when you look back in 2019 when we started with the EU UNESCO Film Project, and then around 2021 we had the Open Digital Roadmap. All these were film projects that were tailored to trying and find a problem for the regional film sector. And it has been a common denominator that what was lacking was a film market. And until you solve this common denominator, you're actually not solving anything. So the Eastern Africa Filmmaker Summit was basically to bring together leaders of the different organizations from the region to come and we sit to discuss a common way of how to deal about a common market that we all desire. You come to Uganda, you realize that every filmmaker out there that is producing content have nowhere to sell their content. Actually, it has now become, it has been normalized that filmmakers think festivals are the market for their film. Filmmakers have gotten to think that TV stations are the market for their content. Filmmakers have gotten to think, worst of all, that YouTube is a film market. So when you look at this, we don't have to deal with a symptom, but the question is, what is the cause? What is this one problem that, if solved, is going to help to solve all the other problems? So basically, what happens when we say Africa Filmmaker Summit was all about bringing the heads together to see that we come up with a common direction we need to be fair have to take. Because right now as we speak, we have to make sure that an idea of a market that we want to establish. The community, our society is getting digital, and we believe going digital, trying to reach our audiences digitally is the way to go. So having gotten platforms like the Stream East platform, we believe that we can now have discussions on how to go about our markets as creatives.
All right, so the very summit we are talking about outed very
you have so much
not very many,
but
a couple of outcomes
made up of capacity building,
part of those was
that's what makes a festival.
That was signed
and
by
then
all
you
the
tell us about
teams that represented their
a surprise at the
she notes that it is a
surprise industry development. No, development is never a surprise. I've been in this sector for 20 years, Patrick. I did my first film in 2004. The Eastern Africa Filmmakers I started working closely with UCC.
Is our constitution.
To ask them to do the right thing.
These are the guidelines. Because now we are talking about, we've reached a level talking about a regional market. And I would want to appeal to my fellow filmmakers. Let us remove the borders from our minds.
Like I said,
it is a neo-colonial tendency. You're still under enslavement to still think that probably if you're making film, you're going to make film in your own village. So the pact are the guidelines. It's a constitution that is going to govern our collaboration. Because, we are talking about Eastern Africa. And Eastern Africa as a region, you're talking about very diverse communities, people of different understandings. Producers are going to come on board with their individualistic tendencies.
It's surprisingly, you may find that in UCC, there are certain officers that don't know about the
idea of the pact is to have a formal document with which today we all bring our values together and eliminate those that don't know about the collective festival. For the collective,
the festival is one of the biggest events that are organized by that institution.
Let's leave the excitement. The kind of management that is going to happen.
Personally, I'm a stakeholder. I'm a
protection and
talking about Uganda's film industry,
release of content, but as well, it is the pact that also manages and regulates the revenue share models.
After you invited
me to want to have a situation where people, the Bwanicas of this world, wake up and say, this is what I want, this is what I want.
The Uganda Film Festival, where even the people brought to manage the gate do not know what is happening.
Kind of issues.
Yes.
And now that we are bringing different communities together, I think
it speaks volumes.
That's why you only saw leaders of organizations
out of the country.
Other than the government representatives, we were targeting leaders of institutions, and of course, renowned institutions.
Let me tell you, before a security officer,
there are so many filmmaker organizations that, trust me, it was not easy to identify the key ones, those that are the giants in their respective jurisdictions.
So basically, we were identifying you go to the festival. I one time remember I almost collided with represent the interests and values that we are trying to undermine our actors.
Coming up with the
pact.
pact.
Speak to you? They
what
just get these guys or money
to simply
clearly state
bring them,
how we are going
put
to work
security
together
here,
as
shop
people from different ethnicities, from different backgrounds. What are these things that are key when it comes to our collaborative effort? So the pact is simply a constitution in an ordinary way of trying to look at it, the guidelines that really govern the entire distribution.
Quite an insightful background to the pact. But I want to speak as a typical Ugandan and also for
we have a
Ugandan
problem
local
in
filmmaker
Uganda
out there.
with a mistaken
Festival, you're of course given its background, and
in our sector, there are what they call awards. The problem with these officers of UCC, they reach the ceiling of learning, and as an individual, the moment you reach the helm of learning, actually that's when you die. Our lives start to end the moment we stop learning.
How does
there is
a
difference?
you justify that?
Because these are facts.
A
festival,
given that the
when you look at the composition of the festival, they're actually doing a little bit fairing in the festival,
specifically for the Ugandan filmmakers. I want you to break it down so that the local filmmaker gets to know how
young
he or she
people,
benefits from
learners,
this regional
into
market.
the actual sector. You get my point.
So much.
So you have these students from Makerere University, these young boys who are starting to explore the film environment, the film ecosystem, and you want to inspire them to do much more. So that's the essence of the festival.
Because it's where we've been the longest.
Yes, festival is a good thing.
In our locality
longest.
And when you ask
going
any
wrong here,
filmmaker what
so we are mistaken because even when a nursery kid who is graduating top class is given a certificate, it is still called an award.
A handful of filmmakers that give testimony.
So the fact that it is called an award, it doesn't mean it is equivalent to the Oscars award. It doesn't mean it's a degree equivalent to the degree. So probably calling the certificates and accolades of the festival awards doesn't quantify them to the level of the awards of our sector.
Let us start a new era of looking at bigger audiences. Uganda is simply 47, 46 million people.
About there.
But now imagine when we are talking about 6 countries, we are talking about approximately a population of 200 million people. So of the 200 million people, 1% of the 200 million people is enough, would be sufficient to make a Ugandan filmmaker probably benefit from their work. So my humble appeal is, let us stop thinking local. Let us think market. The advantage with thinking market, with having a market perspective, you stop thinking about your family, you stop thinking about your network, and you think about your customers in the broader sense. So to a Ugandan filmmaker, this is something that has come to benefit you as much as it will benefit a Kenyan filmmaker, a Tanzanian filmmaker. It is something that has come to benefit a regional filmmaker, to enable a filmmaker have a platform where they can probably put their content after production. So if you've been producing content for your community, your people, your village, local direct, I think it is high time that we also explore these other avenues. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to produce content in our local direct, but as you produce, be mindful of your market. For instance, put subtitles.
The executive director.
We have a bigger community of Swahili speaking in the region.
I look at a country like Tanzania.
So it is in Uganda where they look at a person who speaks
so many things.
In Tanzania, even in court, even in parliament, it is the other side. So for them, English is not a language. You go to Kenya, English is more of a second language than a first language.
That's where the numbers are.
And that's where the numbers are.
Industry was initiated
we are talking about consumers of our content. So it is important for us to start thinking of how,
because I don't think a person of Mr. Nyondo
on the negotiation table with our fellow colleagues from Kenya, Tanzania,
initiated
Zambia.
the film industry.
So let us
even the film festival itself. UCC has no more authority to say
a market that is free festivals on the borders.
When you talk about
before
local filmmakers,
we did have Amakula Film Festival by Imba. We did have Pali International Film Festival by Magezi Moses.
What they have been doing,
you remember? We used to have Peak. It used to be around the corner.
Actually,
if the
it
way
is
they
one
used to
of the
market
filmmakers, this
was
Gerard
to get your content,
Yoga Film Producers Association,
a store,
that
bring
gentleman.
it directly
It is the Gerard
people
and
into
Ruasa back in the days
the
that went to UCC
that is
trying
being
to
talked
pitch
about,
how UCC
that
can
was
help
part of
festivals,
also the
and that's how
outputs from this
UCC
summit
jumps onto that
is a
thing.
digital market, because we are
back in the
living
days,
in a
Mr.
digital
Mtazari was a
market.
very radical
If I
person.
want to market today,
Yes.
it is online.
The concept
Even the
of
normal
Uganda
people, the
Film
normal
Festival,
market that we
I
understand
want you
where
to
people
look
purchase the
directly to the
goods.
companies.
Yes.
People no longer go to Nakasero.
From the very
There are
word
online
go is
markets
not a
where a
concept
person will
fully
go and
owned
order
by the
whatever
UCC.
they want.
Uganda
The same
Film
market
Festival is a
the one
concept
we
that
are
was
talking about.
birthed
And as part of
by
the outcomes
Ugandan
from the Eastern
filmmakers.
African filmmakers
UCC, the same way it
was
always
a
does.
platform
It
known
steals
or
ideas, by the
known
way.
as the stream
I'll tell you an
platform.
example.
Which
I
is-
went
I
to
won't allow you to
UCC.
sit on
No,
this panel.
I won't allow you to
Wait,
sit
I
on
want
the
you to give a
panel.
bit of
Wait,
background
what are
about
institutions? Patrick,
That is mandate.
listen, I'm getting you now crude information.
UCC has the mandate.
We as Palu,
regulatory
we as Palu would once
all
at
about
one time
stream.
wrote
It
to
is
UCC
basically a
trying to
market.
express that, you know what,
you
you can actually have a hub.
We've
2 years down the
we've
road,
had
we hear,
longer
because we wanted
history
them to give
as
us
Palu.
some support.
We've
2
had a
years down
longer
the road, we
history of trying
had,
to
we
create
hear,
markets,
they started a production hub
you
at
remember in
probably Mobs.
2020,
You know,
when we came
somebody
up
tells
with,
you, right, and bring me
Express
an
of Press
idea, and then they take it on themselves.
A few
partnerships in there.
By making all
So we've had
putting
quite
production hub
a
and
longer journey.
still
And,
supporting the sector.
Which is okay. I'm trying to
probably
give you some
most of
information.
the service
You know, the
providers
purpose here,
have,
Patrick,
interests.
we want to be fair to
primary
our
interests.
listeners.
And,
Yes.
This is a government
stream is,
institution.
and
And I can
like
authoritatively
others,
tell you,
is
the
a
likes of
platform
Gerard
that
Ruasa,
caters for the
Ruasa, you don't know what he's
primary
doing now,
interest
but
of
he's
filmmakers.
he was
We
back
are
in the
trying
days, he
to
was
get
very,
They
very
get frustrated out of this.
I don't know. I don't know where he
content
is. But
creators
these are the
will
guys
have
that
their
actually fronted
interests.
the Uganda Film
Yes.
Festival.
Paid attention
UCC
to.
stole the
You know,
Whichever,
like I
that's what
say,
they do.
we've had
So,
this long
whatever
time. Not
Mr.
to say
Nyongi
that
says,
all our
you know,
partners, all
a
our
person
previous
of the
partners
executive
are bad.
director,
No, we still
you
have
have
partners that we are working with when it comes
to make sure your
distribution.
team
But when
gives
it
you
comes to
credible
online
information.
distribution,
Because
we really
sometimes your words
identified
become
that
the law.
probably we need a platform.
So when the
that
executive director comes out and
understands
says,
looks
you
at the
know,
interest
we
of the
initiated
content
the Uganda
creator
film
first.
industry,
The interest of a filmmaker in
let us put
particular.
let us
So,
put the record
Stream
straight.
East is
UCC
like
has
any
never
ordinary,
initiated the Uganda film industry
OTT platform
for
over the top
starters.
It did with the
platform.
festival.
No.
Where
It has never
content
initiated
creators
the Uganda
do
film
bring
industry.
their content,
Actually, the
it's
Uganda
imported
film
and
industry,
probably distributed
what we
to
call the
the,
indigenous film
to
industry,
the
can be
region,
traced
the
back
Eastern Africa
at
region,
least 10
and
years
to the
before
world,
UCC
of course,
started
because
the festival.
we've integrated payment
Yes.
gateways
But
that have
the
visa
executive director goes
card
on and
provision.
highlights
So
the
even
vision
audiences
when they were
beyond
kickstarting
Eastern
Which
Africa,
vision?
And he has stated in his
finalized
This is visualized.
Do you want to say that they have not been there?
No,
Are we not moving on in the right state direction?
Patrick,
for our customers
we
in Plasma,
are
but
trying
the
to
site
dissect
as of
his
now
statements.
is fully
Yes.
operational.
And I'm
so when
telling
go
you,
to
his
to your
statements
Google
that I've
Chrome,
had
or
in search engine
to the
that
search
have been
engine and type in
re-echoed is the wrong statement. UCC has never initiated Uganda film industry.
And Eastern Africa content.
Even the
So
film
it's no longer
industry
just about
itself
Ugandan content.
is
It's Eastern
a
Africa
baby
content.
by the
All right, that's why we are
filmmakers
streaming
themselves.
here.
Because
So,
I want us to
Beneficial
move away
is
from that
talked
and we
about
go to the
it being a
visions as he
platform
stated
that,
then.
is
He
open
states that
to
one
filmmakers. The big
of
question,
the
however,
visions
is
was
who
to
qualifies.
provide
They have
anyone
no
qualified for
vision.
Uganda's stories to be
Yeah,
told.
No, they have
Have
not
they
been
been
told.
told?
They
Yes
are
or no?
killing the sector. No, look, Patrick,
point was to make
UCC is
it,
not helping the sector. It is UCC's
everyone.
obligation
We
to
don't
make
want-
sure
you know, we want to walk away from
whatever
the
the broadcast
self-censorship.
is,
Yes.
Okay, if we are to be
is
censored,
in
let us
conformity
leave
with
that
the
to a
laws.
state that is already
And in
trying
particular
to
the copyright
censor
law.
us.
Go and switch on any TV station to as we speak. They are showing pirated
as a
content,
market
smuggled films.
is open to all
What
filmmakers.
is the
If you
effect
could
the effect
notice,
of this?
yes, it's an
Pearl
initiative
Magic is
by
closing
Pearl,
down.
but if you
DSTV
could
is
notice,
closing down. Do you know
during
why?
the summit we
Pearl
had,
Magic, when Pearl Magic came, when
the
DSTV
Film
introduced Pearl
Producers
Magic,
Guild of
they
Uganda,
used to
they
pay
were well
filmmakers here in
represented by the
Uganda.
president,
DSTV has been commissioning
Mafia.
filmmakers to do content.
Because
why is
it
it
is
closing down?
something
Why
that
is
we
it
believe,
scaling
even though
down?
you don't want to be
Because
part
there
of
is no
Stream East.
business.
We want you
You're the
to pick
mastermind
inspiration and
behind
probably
the
do
boycott
something like this, because at the end of the day,
campaign.
we are winning
And that
at
is
the
the
end.
point.
Each
That is
person
ongoing.
you introduce to digital consumption of
when you
content
say that,
is
you
a
see-
win to the entire sector.
I
This is what is
usually
going to
see,
define
and even
our
today,
market
because your
worth
campaign
tomorrow.
is
Okay, so
ongoing.
basically,
actually
under that hashtag.
We have limitations.
Claiming that UCC
still working as individuals has not gotten us very far as creatives, as filmmakers.
Because it is,
but this time
the
around
moment you bring a smuggled product into the market,
market.
you to have your
the genuine products losing value.
You either
that
have
explains
to be
why
an organization,
Pearl Magic used to pay filmmakers, the millennials,
$1,000,
which is approximately $3.7 million.
And
that money was actually being taxed.
Not at all.
I'm also an individual, but at the end of the day, get around 3.3 million. Over 500,000 goes into taxation.
From a layman, I will now pose this
when Pearl Magic was paying
3.7
million to the film producers,
Bukete
TV, KBS TV would go on the street and get this smuggled content, put on their airwaves, and show content because UCC is asking
from amid this couple of other.
It's for premium content, pay-per-view. For starters, you watch what
is
you pay for.
Is it a step in the right direction for you?
Exactly.
Because the festival, as per what the executive director
the filmmakers themselves.
Okay.
So
it is helping some filmmakers.
Unlike YouTube, who
and like struck its genesis, and now you don't know.
Stream East,
because the executive director goes on and
you
actually
order for what you want and you'll get it. Yes, other platforms have
you're highlighting and
to
pay that infringement, copyright infringement, or even piracy.
Okay,
that you're talking about.
The same presentation in the same video,
every penny you pay,
how many films
you are supporting a local
filmmaker.
A couple
of Okay, so how is Stream East linked to the new film?
I think 301. If 301 films were submitted by Ugandans
to the new film,
and only 16 films were nominated,
like I said,
they are competing for the few awards
digital
now.
And
300
were
you
submitted right now.
16
I think
we are
nominated. We may even
from the 16 you may find that
online.
Actually,
they are lucky.
It's already happening. Thank you very much.
You will try and weigh.
When you look at
you are throwing down
we are not
290 films in favor of the 10 films.
The moment we do,
are you serving? So each and every year, UCC is killing more filmmakers than those it pretends to help.
Because
the executive director
something and people
that he understands and acknowledges some of the challenges.
To this side, to an advantage,
and he actually goes on to offer some solutions.
To embrace
Mr. Producer,
the digital evolution. We are trying to walk by what is happening.
So that you hear him acknowledge
young people today, when you tell them about the analog of film distribution, the VHS, our VHS tapes, they no longer have the time. So people are watching content using their phone. Content is right in their palms. So we are trying to reach our audiences in real time.
Okay. When we discuss market, we cannot run away from the issue of money. And money within the creative sector. I'll be specific. They are collective management organizations that are responsible for collecting revenue, revenue shares for content creators, be it artists or filmmakers. Now in Uganda, Uganda Federation of Movie Industries (UFMI) is establishing a formal CMO for filmmakers. Now we are using the summit as the case study to digest this conversation around distribution. Now, as an outcome also from the same summit, was the signing of the reciprocal agreement between the CMO, which is UFMI in Uganda, and Kosozo, which is the CMO in Zanzibar. So, how does this reciprocal agreement signed between these two countries, between UFMI and Kosozo, UFMI Uganda, Kosozo Zanzibar, how is it beneficiary to both the two institutions, and what does it mean for the local filmmakers, both here in Uganda and in Zanzibar?
To get you there,
you were asking where the other films will go, and it says that they are established.
Listen, license as a collecting
the ED, Executive Director of UCC, tells us,
to my understanding,
that they acknowledge the challenges of piracy and copyright infringement.
Today, currently, as we speak, there is
this is the impunity, the ignorance of the highest order that I've ever
step in the right direction.
I will give you a simple scenario.
As
the moment you see somebody stealing a chicken, what is the response to that kind of criminality?
And I trust this is just the beginning.
Because it is criminal. When it comes to intellectual property and somebody is stealing some other person's work, and you're able to have the audacity of standing people, filmmakers, and tell them, we acknowledge there is criminality taking place, and
stakeholders coming together for the summit.
Actually, a government institution that works with policy.
A stupid government institution working with policies that it doesn't understand. Patrick, what we are talking about is people's works being infringed on.
What had happened?
That is the point.
The institution, be a cross reciprocal kind of arrangement.
What do you want?
Do you want to
yeah, it was intended to be that way. But
if the executive director
as
it is exactly the right
side. They already handled
you
already handling what? People are losing their property. You're handling what? Do you know
the mobilization of these
a building is burning and you're calling fire brigade? Fire brigade is not responding, and you say people are busy.
And you may find that
let us wake up.
In some areas,
things cannot
the collective
policies
are not there.
The entire village has to be crushed.
We're not able to reach them on time.
For UCC to understand there's a problem somewhere.
Understand also
filmmakers
because CMOs deal with money. And most of the time, it has happened here in Uganda. I saw the same was happening in Kenya.
It has been a hoodwink. Personally, I have not attended, but I have engaged UCC personally at a personal level several times over the years.
But Muzei, for
it's
a
not
local
over 7
filmmaker,
years. Engaging
this
UCC.
reciprocal
I have
agreement
written to UCC.
between Uganda
We have written to UCC.
Does it what has their feedback been like?
They are just hoodwinking the filmmakers. There is criminality. The indie himself is telling you. They acknowledge there is piracy, there is infringement of copyright. What are you doing as the executive director? And two, now the ED is telling us.
Because I want for them to understand how this reciprocal agreement is going to directly affect them.
First and foremost, let me start from the other side.
Do you really expect reasonable Ugandans to take this man seriously?
Whereas royalties make meaning for musicians,
yes,
they don't make meaning for filmmakers. Royalties.
No, it is a disgrace.
For a better understanding,
Patrick, I don't know about Joshua and Musim. Its future. It is
what
a
you
disgrace.
And Amaso will not get
exactly.
So to filmmakers,
I won't allow you
to bring a person
even without it.
No, but you see, it is the president's making now.
I want us
younger
in
people
areas
are
like the US, in the West,
younger people know.
you will find that audiovisual collective societies are no longer there.
He also has a problem.
They only have the corporate office to register
the creative sector is
because it doesn't make any
UCC
meaning.
is failing on its primary legal obligation of stopping illegal film broadcasting
in the right direction.
If
it enhances the protection of our content.
I would do the right
tomorrow
thing.
we are going to have Ugandan content.
I wouldn't be so greedy to eat small money from broadcasters.
Yes, of course.
By sympathy,
this kind of collaboration that we have,
I would do the
them
right thing.
alone add up to, in a way, contribute to the protection of our works.
I've seen
but still, when you enhance
Hollywood,
it with an inspection of a collecting society, it gives it more beef, it gives it more value. A thief, when a thief finds your door open in the night, yes, probably you give them the ease to enter your house. But when you lock your door, at least let them say, you give them some work, not to steal for free. So the idea of reciprocal agreement,
part of your members. No.
Yes, we might not see the immediate benefit of this reciprocal agreement, but in the long run, as we go, as we move on, TVs, we need to cut down the broadcast piracy.
So let me tell you,
but you can't address these issues when you are not, when you are having content from one jurisdiction. Probably tomorrow, before anybody knows, we are going to have a reciprocal agreement that protects work from England, that protects work from Japan, and
part of their work
is being pirated here in Uganda. So
Wechigana one.
Exactly.
All right. So Oyogade
do you know what they say?
royalties,
They say that the people that are talking about the Uganda Film Festival do not have the moral authority to comment, to make any comment
I want to believe
about
that
the film
as
festival.
the signing of
Because
these,
they do not do quality films. This was their comment. They do not do quality films, and their films can't even be accepted in the
collected from within.
That was their response.
Will become something big. Will
our
become
next
the main
we
cost
sent
deal.
in film.
Which
we wanted to prove a
makes
case.
me to question.
So the members
that,
you're talking about, you are choosing them for no good reason.
the effect
We actually
of
wanted
the
to prove a
reciprocal
case.
signing.
And how did we prove a
we
case?
need to
We
ensure
submitted
enforcement
content,
of
and trust
royalty
me, at the end of the day,
from
we got
within the
10
region.
nominations. And of the 10 nominations,
yes, of course.
the filmmakers that were identified
the purpose
as
for which we have a collective society
nominees
to collect
came up and did a press conference.
And because we are having these
that they
stand
it will enable for the values of the
for example, to start
we want
a corporate society of Zanzibar, it will enable a COSOZA
and they have
to
written, the president of Parliament has
therefore
written to Mr. Nyong'o.
And these realities will be sent to you.
Attaching the press release of the nominees. Requesting Mr.
So I think it is something that is
illegal, the criminality being
whereas the realities have never made filmmakers read.
Yes.
Still, realities provide an enabling environment for correcting society to protect the works of the filmmakers.
All right. Still speaking about over the years, artists back to Uganda here. UFM in the recent past a lot of
as everybody that studied law practice is everybody that who studied law practice.
And I want to pick from you.
Was a practicing artist.
You a journalist, you studied journalism. Are all people going now? All your hobbies and hobbies doing journalism?
No. But the ones that are doing
probably also passed through our
Mr. Umar, I tried to contact him I couldn't get
to address that. But as far as I know,
understanding.
UFMI, I'm a member of UFMI, though I think I'm giving up
people for the job.
My membership because, Bagamba, Nalimo Bulungi.
Mr. Producer, I'll ask that you give me Mr. Nyong'o because he
highlights
and gives
as an individual.
Yes,
I don't know. Probably as Parliament may buy because we are having discussions as
Parliament. We will not get the cinemas
of
the 70s. When I grew up,
we don't want to be silent partners. Yes. Silent, you're having members, but they can't do anything.
And I want to believe that Parliament members
only 5. Like I was telling my performers
that subscribe.
Probably the regulator URSB may not know that, and UFM might not know that. But we tried to convince them, to tell them, let us institutionalize
377
so that we may be able to have a national organization. Let us have guilds, let us have institutions,
some of us have to break the rules. We say, no.
But they prefer to remain with individuals. Of course, the constitution of I think the Corporate Act talks about every member
because we are constrained by that
vote, and based on that they try to it was a long story.
I think you've addressed what my next question was, that governance gaps that are in there.
Exactly. You see, all governance gaps will arise, accountability issues will arise the moment you don't have a structure.
Yes.
Speaking from one thing that will move the moment you fail on the structure, you can't. No matter how you may try to give, what is it when you're trying to bring back a person who has, how do they call it? No. Yes, these people that have fallen in water, drowned, and then you pull them up, and then that chest
kiss of life.
A kiss of life. No, besides the kiss of life, there is that chest pumping.
Yes.
Okay, whatever it is. I have a sesame, yes, so that they can start resuming
stick to the topic.
It is the same topic.
An institution.
Actually, Mr. Nyong'o
many people without proper structures.
Yes,
it will never get life.
Let me tell you something.
He's talking
about 300
remember
international
the annual general meeting
and
Ugandan
he's exhibiting Ugandan films in cinemas.
Where he's exhibiting the Ugandan films grew bigger than its constitution.
There is no cinema that has the sitting capacity.
So Uma reached a point it had to carry out an AGM.
Listen,
so Uma has members across the country.
Where he's exhibiting the film.
It's a
countrywide association. Now it has to hold an AGM.
Yes.
That has a seater capacity.
That is the only reason it failed to hold an AGM. Because it had grown bigger.
And I don't disagree
than its constitution.
That Honorable Nyong'o
so
was
when you fail to learn from the mistakes of others,
we also have
you probably risk going through the same failures, the same falls that they fail.
The fail of being on screen. And after that experience,
if Uma has a Congress way, an electoral college where regional representatives
could actually have delegates come and attend the AGM, probably today would have had a stronger institution. Well, and I can testify without fear of contradiction. Roma is not as strong as it was before that AGM.
Exactly.
So the AGM affected greatly. It might not have killed, but it greatly affected Roma. We wanted to have that kind of thinking to the is inspired by ignorance. Imagine tomorrow where
UCC is going to run.
Is going to have, because it's a national body. It's going to have members in Gabon.
There is nowhere in the world you're going to find a market.
Everywhere in the country. You need to carry an AGM, and then you can't, because one, you don't have the resources primarily to bring all these members, and the members are not even given the money to bring them.
So Mzee Bwanika, with everything is in play in relation to the CMO kind of setting, and what does its future look like?
Does he even understand what it is?
And if it happens, what will be left?
No, the amendment is going to happen. We have a child in URSB.
So integration of digital market platforms, attracting international distributors and buyers of content
from school, they are very
establishing and facilitating
partnership.
I know some of your members here
and we are also saying
by you being a
how we
lawyer
can
speaking
develop
that flowery
a content development facility.
More understanding
content development facility
practice.
And I think I maintain the same position. So they speak a lot of English and we are stuck there. So the amendment is going to happen.
How do we,
as long as it remains individualistic,
how do we start thinking of a content
to someone who looks
facility.
Up to bigger things, you need to spare one
and
yourself from
for us,
stress,
at least to me,
to try
the issue is not to have one.
You're fighting for something.
But the issue is how do you have it and you run it sustainably.
So I think it would be just number of you to step aside and let them be.
Have neighboring rights.
You know, there are wars that are worth fighting.
Maybe
I will
government.
fight UCC
How do we run it?
So integration of the Uganda Film Festival to my last breath until they stop the illegal film broadcast. That is worth fighting. I will stand for that. But now, in UFMI, it is not helping me anything.
The last time we were here, the battle was to do with the UCC and the UAE.
And it's still on. You think you think it ended. No,
I will shift you from that back to the conversation around distribution. Now we talk about distribution, but what is being distributed?
Just TV is no longer buying local content,
which is a movie, and I want us to just use
scaling down on the commissioning.
One case study.
So before you even think of interesting other partners to come on board,
Rolex.
The one you have is leaving.
What is Rolex time?
First and foremost, establish what are the challenges.
You see, anybody who has followed Wakali would.
First and foremost, before you think about
appreciate
the
that
content development
is an action movie.
Ask yourself, what inspires people to
so
produce?
Rolex time is simply about.
During the times
he does what he does best, always action movie.
Okay.
And he's trying to reintroduce this young
people actually start venturing
into
coffee.
First of all, who is the guy? Who is the team that?
People went into
the producer is Ndugunabwana Isaac, the old man. Yes.
So no one take our content development facilities. There is no market. Trust me, people are not going to use this market.
He's the main character. And it's Rolex Time is a family movie that I think
some of the
everybody needs to watch. Being at an administrative panel in Palu, I've had a chance to have a look.
We are now looking for our
you call them snippets onto the movie. It's really a good thriller. It is something that is one. It is interesting. It will take away. It will kill the boredom. And Isaac Nabwana has always done it better. You remember? He has been there. You remember him in Hawkeye Captain
Exactly.
But you see the way he did his thing. And trust me, this is a new version of it. Yes, the quality-wise camera work, camera movement, everything is spot on. I like the lighting, the action. You see the choreography. It's a good artist. I like the way he's trying to throw it out there to the people to appreciate.
My next question is speaking so fondly about
around 16 films have been
and we've been
nominated.
Distribution as well.
Not all the 16 films are going to end up as winners.
For this
the truth is, even before you find the market for the 290 films,
here,
you're still thinking of dumping, creating more to go where?
It is UCC
the global market. It starts with you. It starts with your family. It's a bad thing
to try and limit your capacity in the confines of your family. It's not good, but it's a good thing to appreciate that it starts there. So I think he's doing quite a good job trying to promote Rolex to the ground. And I've seen Rolex being advertised in Western Uganda, Northern Uganda. I've seen it take rounds in Eastern Uganda. You see, he has reached out to these video libraries, the guys that sell content. He has reached out to fellow filmmakers to ensure that at least each and everybody can talk about Rolex time. Right now, we are Rolex time.
Wants to teach us how to make a film.
No, Julian is the director. He's director content.
You see, Patrick, there is a big disconnect.
You want to say where can a person check it out?
She's not if it is going to the cinema.
Like I started
speaking from the point of authority,
yes, there is a
Rolex
problem
time
our
is
people
cannibal
stop to learn.
streaming.
And our lives
is for the Ugandan
the
and Eastern African
audience.
Yes. I ask you first to watch.
What does its rollout say about evolving release strategies of films in the region?
It's been quite a journey.
Now that you are organizing yourselves and you have the Producers Guild,
a film
and I'm
is
sure
as big
so many other guilds will be coming up.
Okay.
In your market.
You've
seen filmmakers that have done
a guild
very good
to
content,
get the writers
but then they think
so when
small
we get all
about the
these
market,
guilds,
and
we
they have
think
their
together,
films at home.
I think we can go very, very far.
I had
UFC
stopped
was
you and
built
shifted you when
of
you were
associations.
lighting up around
The associations
UCC.
were made up
But
of
unfortunately,
people
I have
of
no
very,
option. I have
for
to
us
bring
as
it back
UCC,
because as
when
a
we're looking
regulator,
at ways to
it
support
also has a role
and I
to
remember
play
in 2018,
in regards to
one of the
the
recommendations
channel
we made to the
distribution.
industry,
The big
and one of the
question is,
things that the
with UCC,
UCC
have they
sees
played their
that the
role?
industry has driven itself to is the creation of the
UCC,
guilds.
which role?
All kinds of guilds, the producers guild, the directors
the role
guild,
of
the
yes,
actors guild.
regulators.
Yeah.
Now, one
But
of the
as
challenges that the
regulators,
Commission has
I
seen
will
is
tell
that
you part
yes,
of the
these
issues
guilds
that
have
are
been
affecting the
formed,
industry
but the
in regards to
representation
distribution
is still
having
not
pirated
formalized.
content flow all over.
No, so what we are doing
So by them not doing
as
their
CC,
job,
and,
which
I think we
believe they
mentioned
have the
this
powers
to
put
a
down
committee we
pirated
met
content,
recently,
it
and we're going
affects
to have
your
follow-up conversation,
right?
Yeah.
So I
is that
want
the
to
UCC
understand
is building a platform
from your take as a
in
filmmaker,
collaborations with
producer,
yourselves
how far
to
is
be
UCC
able to
going in helping you solve this
formalize
problem
the
of
guild
distribution?
representation. What shall we do in these guilds? And this is what the ED was talking about. When we're making some sort of contribution, when we are scheduling training,
because when you ask,
when we are getting support, when we are buying infrastructure, we will engage with those guilds responsible for that line of trade.
But
and the producers guild, because you know what the producers
down,
we feel that
to do
from the top
their legal
coming
obligation
down.
in regards
We
to
want to
cutting
invest
down
as part of
piracy.
CDSP
I think
very
they are
heavily
still
in
failing,
in creation of the
we are still
in creation of the
boycotting
entire
the
sector.
But
And
they are
going
failing.
forward, and I
When you
think we
talk
made this
about
clear
UCC failing,
with the regional
or,
film
not
competition
even
judges,
doing their job of promoting
competition judges,
They
directors
recently
and
held,
producers and
UFF
cinematographers
film
were
award.
being
And they had
trained in the
winners
same
who
thing.
were actually
It became
given
so
prizes.
complicated.
They were paid off.
And it became
Where are the
so
winners?
complicated.
Okay, what was
and
which
one
movie
of the
won
decisions we
movie of
made
the year
as
in the Uganda Film
CC
Festival?
with the judges
Well,
that going
I
forward,
You a journalist.
we are going to have
Let me tell
separate
you,
training
No, yeah,
in
yeah,
the
all
region
winners
and
were
also
given
No, you
and that is UCC coming in to
That can
support.
only be
UCC came up
achieved
and organized the
through
Uganda Film
guilds.
Festival.
Yes.
So please
I
work
would
with
want to,
and I think as Nana has said,
with all the
the associations can
Yes,
continue.
to
because
respect your
associations
show.
are built of
They
very
organized the
different
festival
principles.
for filmmakers that
You can have
don't
the
have
actors,
a
the
mind to
producers
think
in
for
associations.
themselves. I am
But
sorry
guilds
to
is where
say
support is
here,
going
but
to
I
be
don't. I'm not. I'm
rendered
unapologetic
forward. I
to
hope
those
that's
filmmakers
clear.
because they do not have a
See,
mind to
we need
reason,
to be
to say
very,
things,
very
and
careful
appreciate
when
things
it
the
comes
way
to
they are.
our wives.
I'm asking you,
Because at the end
what
of the day,
was the Uganda
going
Film
to
Festival movie of the year?
judge us
I
based on
bet if
what
you
you
even
say.
still remember the name. You're a journalist. Your
guilds
your
have
job
been around.
is to report on
And
these kind
I
of
think
issues. What does that
the
speak
only
of the
difference
Uganda
is
Film
the
We
time
Festival?
reported
round.
about that.
Yeah,
We put out
what is the award-winning movie
But the
movie of the year?
Mzee Iwanika.
Who was the actor of the year?
I will
Their
shift.
vocabulary.
Who was the actor?
So if you're
think
faulting
it is a new
UCC,
thing.
what should they do now? What should their role be?
You see,
And let me tell you,
If you're downplaying
need
you
to
what they are
understand
already doing,
needs to stop
it
thinking
is like
about
calling your
stealing
institution.
this
I may choose to call it an
gathering
organization.
needs to stop thinking about stealing from the creative sector.
I may choose to call it an
UCC
association.
needs
You get
to
my
do
point.
its role by curbing down illegal film
different things meaning the
The
same
moment
thing.
UCC does that,
we need to
even
go
the film
back.
festivals
The
will begin to
UFC,
make money.
Uganda Film Council they are talking about was reformed as a result of
when
guilt.
it brought
It had its
when we
own
came into
challenges.
the UCC,
And you know,
it
guilds
reminded
have
me
been
of the
around.
very last show.
Association of Poor Film Producers, where I come from. It is a producer's guild. So
even
it's about
take the show
guild is a
towards the end.
functionality.
And
It is
what's
a
one
function.
action
It's
point?
like
I'll take
telling
you
you
there
a
as
man.
we get to
It means
this
there are
actual
certain
discussion.
parts
What's the
of your
actual
body
charge
that
of
features that define you as
during
a man, but somebody else will call you male. And the same features will still apply. So we need to walk that
part of
that
it.
part.
What's one action point for government? One, two creators, and you all
To government,
then also
I'd
go to
want
our
to call
YouTube
upon
channel,
all
Living
government
Arts
agencies
YouTube channel, where this
to stand in
conversation is going on live,
solidarity
because the
against
fire
the
there.
UCC
Akataleki
unity and tell
when you hear
UCC
the executive
to
director
stop
talking
illegal
about
film
a
broadcasts.
new guild,
Illegal film
and
broadcasts
with the
erode us
experience we have with the
taxes.
NLM
Illegal
government,
film
what they call
broadcasts
Boer
kill
War.
youth
There is
employment.
something they want to
Illegal
steal.
film broadcasts will take away, erode our moral values as a state. And to the public of Uganda, I kindly ask you, the Museveni government has failed the film sector by allowing UCC to promote pornography in broad daylight, by allowing UCC to connive with the broadcasters and show illegal content. Please come 2026 to the Ugandan community. Let us go for the protest vote to the filmmakers. Wake up and know your values, know what you stand for.
I will take those as
one,
we
want to also apologize.
They are my words.
Do you have
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will call the show off. Also here they are viewed, but don't forget that the Living Arts channel has voice very many. Not that yes, tomorrow will be a Thursday. Some people are very wise when they are silent with visual artists. Some understand very fast. Be having a conversation after a long explanation to how the visual arts industry and Shami Wings 256 says that to these small filmmakers who were promised to get also in the evening. Remember Zaibwanika's words and stop pretending. Arts journalists, as we digest what is happening in the industry. I have Irene Namata as well, who noted that
and maybe Patrick, if you may allow me,
thank you so much,
Namata. A humble appeal to filmmakers. Stream East is here for every filmmaker, so we call upon every filmmaker to appreciate, to embrace. It's probably if you're not even when you don't want to have your film distributed through these channels, it is important. It's just humble of you to start appreciating this kind of markets that we've introduced. Try and familiarize yourself with the embrace technology, and let us move together in this simple direction. To every filmmaker, don't feel threatened. You know, there are those people that will say, you know, I don't want to work with someone so they will steal my feeding. But even when you have your film in your home, you're not getting anything. So
thank you so much. Put
it out there. Yes, put it out there. There is nothing they are going to steal from you when you have nothing. I think it is also important for our comrades to appreciate that if you have 10 million and somebody steals 500,000 from you, you actually not losing. You're better off a person who is afraid of earning the 10 million because somebody will take away 1 million from them.
I know. As we close it up, I just remind people still about Stream, remind them of his exact words. He said, but he noted that updates will be for the very many people now who submitted their film via any such engine. That alone shows the trust
right now Stream East is accessible via any search engine. The moment you click and you type in www.streameastfilms.com, you will be able to access all the films from Eastern Africa, Apollo films, films from Rwanda Film Federation, Tanzania Film Federation, film from Kenya, Film and Television Professionals Association, films from Zambia. So when you go to the site,
kindly feel free to explore and give us feedback on the areas we need to improve. And next week we are going to be unveiling the Play Store application and also
even the filmmakers your films
application.
simply shan't be
Thank you so much
and they went on to take part in
ladies and
awards.
gentlemen, that will
Mr.
be it
Producer,
tonight, and the
just
Film Agenda
give me
256
the words
returns
of Mr.
next week,
Nyebitemo from the
Wednesday,
Nation
same
Night
time, same place. My name is
Seriously,
Patrick Sento.
all of us who
Until then,
submitted.
bye-bye.
Thank you very much, really, for submitting, because that means that you trust the process, you trust the system. And this is was that with the background of some negativity, which has started
program bagiyita Film Agenda 256 enganze nnyo
Ugandans are allergic to good
kuvaawo
things.
beera wano
Whenever there is something good taking place, there are very creative Ugandans who are always will come up to make sure that they make it look bad. So we are getting this also in this, but the good thing is that it looks like
of film
they
distribution.
haven't been welcome.
The executive
They
secretary
have been shunned.
Hollywood,
So thank you very much,
which is
Idi.
the umbrella body for
Yes,
Ugandan
definitely
filmmakers.
when
It's
something
going
is
to be
growing,
joining
when something is about to
as we
get even
digest
bigger,
this
there are forces that pull.
distribution of
Obviously.
film industry. Mzee Iwanika, good evening and welcome to the show.
Hey, good
That
evening,
is
and
our
I'm
friend
humbled to
Kasule.
join you
That's
this
Kasu.
evening.
Oh, I think Kasule was the host.
No, but
And the
then-
further notes,
Yes.
and also adds on to the word of the executive director.
First and foremost,
Agenda
let us
256. The last
exonerate
time I was
Douglas
here,
Ben.
I was still
Why?
with you and the
He was
studio
the host
team
of the
spoke,
night.
so I
No,
think
you
it's
see,
the reason
some of
today
us can't
came
be
dressed,
bold.
but
So you also have inspired to me. appreciate. Some people think when they
Today you're
are
dressed,
angry, they need
covered
bread.
in,
So that's when they
in
actually
clothes
have
that
to think.
speak to the
So for
coldness in the
starters,
room.
let us
This time we are so
exonerate
much well
Douglas.
prepared.
He was looking
to,
at his paycheck.
you know,
But let us go to the
counterattack
words of
the
big
fire
man.
that can
I'll
come through.
before
But
you-
well, the
before you go to
discussion
his
today
words,
is
let me just
around
pose this
distribution.
question.
And for
Was
me,
your boycott the one
when
that
I
was
look at the
spearheaded?
film
Was it
industry in the region,
No, actually, he's not
I
talking
look
about
back and
filmmakers
understand
shunning
that there
us.
has been a lot
The
of
status
growth
of Mr.
in regards
Nyombi.
to talent,
Because now I feel
production,
ashamed
but also
calling
the
him the
very
executive
core
director.
stories
He's a
that are
dissident.
told.
Mzee Iwanika, let us be clear.
But one thing has
Mr.
remained
Nyombi
Yes.
is the
clear and
executive
apparent.
director.
Yes, but
The
it is
issue
a
of
shame to
distribution.
call
Our
him that
stories are
title.
rich.
When you
The
look at
production
other
is well up
executive
there.
directors,
We
you know,
have the
when you are a
talent,
leader,
but the
you
stories
lose rights
are
of
not
doing
out there.
wrong.
People
You
are
lose
not
rights
consuming
of
the
making
stories.
reckless
So
statements like
one
that.
gets to think,
If
is it
for
an
heaven's
issue
sake
of,
we are
our
supposed
people,
to
the
be
audiences
supported
themselves,
by
or there are
UCC,
very many
and
other
adamantly
factors to it,
Mr.
because
Nyombi
when you look
stands
at
there and says, you know,
some of the
some
content
of
that
those
is being consumed
negative
locally here,
energies
much of
were
it is even
shunned.
pirated.
That is
And,
the impunity
I
of the
want to
highest
kick it
order
off
we are
from
talking
there, Mzee
about.
Iwanika.
He has no moral
why is
authority to
distribution
even pronounce
ground
those
for
words. You know,
filmmakers?
it shows
I
somebody
want
who
only
is
keep it to
shameless,
Uganda.
somebody who
I've
doesn't
been in
even
arrangements
reason
where
before they
film
speak.
makers
He really had
gathered
to
from
understand.
within
Mzee Iwanika,
No,
you want to be there and attack an institution
yes,
that is organizing a
distribution,
festival, and this
is not
institution is
just
led
about
by
film.
Mr. Nyombi.
Distribution
You want him to
is-
sit
I am
back
not-
and relax?
no, I am not
Actually,
attacking
the
the organization
agriculturists,
actually.
be it
I am attacking the
medicine,
stupid
everywhere, I
characters
think
of these
it
officers.
befits the
It's
logic
like if somebody,
if
you know, we always
to-
fight.
Is
with
Mr. Nyombi wrong to
Let
come
me
and
tell
defend
you,
his
let me
people?
tell you what leaders do.
Be it
You
the
always
teacher,
fight in public.
the
The
teachers,
education
But you
system,
don't
the
focus
education
on how
system.
much
It's-
you
it's
can
about
abuse.
distribution.
You focus
So I
on the
think,
substance within the
when it
content
comes
that
to
has been
creative
brought.
arts,
And if Mr. Nyombi
without
was a reasonable
distribution,
person,
he
if Mr.
then
Nyombi
there is
wasn't
no
drunk
reason as to
of
why
greed,
any
he
artist
would have
actually
acknowledged that
whatever
probably
they
there are people
doing
that are
music.
making some
Because
noise.
at the end of the
What
day,
are they
it is
saying?
through
What is
distribution
the
that
premise
probably,
of their
Mzee
claim?
Iwanika,
If he
creators
fails to
and
acknowledge
work.
basics,
And,
then he
I
has
think it
nobody.
is
Me and
becoming
you
a
and
global
the viewers watching us
a
can
global
testify
issue
to the
that
fact
every
that
creator now
in part of
wants
the
to earn
videos we
from
watched
their
previously,
creation.
Yes.
he
We
acknowledged
take
some
our
of the
children to
issues,
school to
like the
study,
case of pirates.
But now he
Not-
comes
not-
here, he
no,
comes
not
again,
just to
and
give
you
it
just
out
played
for
the
free.
audio.
But
What Mr. Nyombi is
the end
saying,
result, we want
good
them to earn
enough,
something.
this
Umanyi
group was
umwana wadde
shunned.
wakanaka
You know,
at the end of the
it
day
is
you're like,
being
okay,
stupid and
the
reckless
umwana,
with words.
my
An
child is
elder,
excelling,
a person
doing
with
well.
grey hair, we
You can
expect
imagine
you to
a world
reason
where filmmakers are not rewarded for what they do.
equivocal to what
So
your
it
status, the
befits,
way you look.
the reason as why
Can
we should
Mr.
be-
Nyombi
I ask us to be very formal.
When I
I want us to be very
I am
formal with
very
our
formal.
language
What,
that we are
okay,
using.
how do you want me to
Ugandan
define
film
Mr. Nyombi?
industry.
That kind of stupidity.
Mr. Nyombi is the executive
it's a
director.
regional
I don't care.
system.
And
And the institution he leads is
How
mandated and to regulate your executive director who is stupid and is based on reasonable obligation does not deserve to be called an executive director. I won't allow you, if it's the president, he needs to change this. No!
To get this show to order, I won't allow you. I saw filmmakers from countries neighboring Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya,
an executive director. Okay, Patrick, give me another term that means stupid.
But Zambia was part of that representation.
Okay, give me another term that means stupid.
Zanzibar.
Because Mr. Nyomi is stupid.
What was this?
He's a stupid executive director. So if you give me another term that means stupid, I will use that term.
Was very
I'm trying to be polite.
I want us
basically the East African Eastern Africa Filmmakers Summit was
to close this particular
is a program under the UNESCO Referral Project. That is about trying to create a permanent solution to a permanent problem of the film sector in the region.
Now,
we realized from when you look back in 2019 when we started with the UNESCO Film Project, and then around 2021 we had the Open Dicta Roadmap. All these were film projects that were tailored to trying and find a problem for the regional film sector. And it has been a common denominator that what was lacking was a film market.
For each of the blind men to describe
until you solve this common denominator.
The one who had the ear had a very good description.
So the Eastern Africa Filmmakers Summit was basically to bring together leaders of the different organizations from the region to come and we see to discuss a common way of how to deal about a common market that we
so that's what exactly
you come back, you come to Uganda, you realize that every filmmaker out there that is producing content have nowhere to sell their content. Actually, it has now become, it has been normalized that filmmakers think festivals are the market for their films. Filmmakers have gotten to think that TV stations are the market to their content. Filmmakers have gotten to think, worst of all, that YouTube is a film market. So when you look at this, we don't have to deal with the symptom, but the question is, what is the cause? What is this one problem that, if solved, is going to help to solve all the other problems? So basically, the Eastern Africa Filmmakers Summit was all about bringing the heads together to see that we come up with a common direction we have to take, because right now as we speak, we have an idea of a market that we want to establish. The community, our society is getting digital, and we believe going digital, trying to reach our audiences digitally is the way to go. So having gotten platforms like the Stream
and in our business, Jack of all trades,
she's a true Ugandan, have discussions on how to go about our markets.
And lastly, myself,
so the very
also the academic
perspective
we are
talking about
and everything else I am known
not
for.
Very many, but a couple of outcomes.
And I think the elephant who was defining was a very interesting elephant, because this time, for the first time, people took that giant step of producing their own work. We didn't have any commissioned project this year. That's powerful. That's powerful. There was no commissioned project. So you can imagine
the Eastern
people
Africa
are seeing
Filmmakers
the business is there.
Is our
and also very interesting.
It is, these are the guidelines for which, because now we are talking about, we've reached a level of talking about a regional market. And I would want to appeal to my fellow filmmakers. Let us remove the borders from our minds. You know, it is
which was really intriguing. I found that
you
really
still
intriguing.
and enslavement.
But it is something to note. It is, you know, there is movement. Movement of groups.
The pact.
People are positioning themselves for something that I'm wondering what's going to happen. Something is coming.
We are talking about Eastern Africa. And Eastern Africa as a region, you're talking about very diverse communities, people of different understandings. Producers are going to come on board with their individualistic tendencies. Everyone of us, naturally, we are selfish. So the idea of the pact is to have a formal document with which we all bring our values together and eliminate those that don't work for the collective family that we are. So basically, the pact is simply a constitution. These are guidelines that inform
the kind of management that is going to happen when it comes to the protection and aggregation,
this is a blow.
Release of content, but as well, it is the pact that also manages and regulates the revenue share model. You know, we don't want to have a situation where people, the Bwanikas of this world, wake up and say, this is what I want, this is what I want. The issue is, how can we have a civilized way of handling all these kind of issusues? And now that we are bringing different communities together, I think it was just important for us as filmmakers. That's why you only saw leaders of organizations. Other than the government representatives who were targeting leaders of institutions, and of course, renowned institutions. There are so many filmmaker organizations, but trust me, it was not easy to identify the key ones, those that are the giants in their respective jurisdictions. So basically, we were identifying these organizations, calling on to
also last year, there are people who are saying, Patrick,
you coming up with a pact.
You fear government to censor you, you fear to renew your whatever license. Last year you get it. No. I you first listen to me. Last year, when some of your commissions to make sense of this and I am telling you, I'm going to give you the time. Mr. Luswata says there is no commission to project.
In an ordinary way of trying to look at it, the guidelines that really govern the
you get my point.
Quite an insightful background.
The filmmakers that were not given money are more creative than the filmmakers that are being given money. The filmmakers that were not given money are more determined. They are passionate about this sector, about their craft, more than these hooligans that are applying for money, that are spending on handouts. Let me tell you, this system must stop. We filmmakers, Patrick, listen. Last year we had some of the commissioned films
to benefit.
And did they win even?
Let's say
we are giving out money. And two, Mr. Luswata comes. Mr. Luswata is a respectable man.
Given that the summit and the entire outcomes, everything happened in Uganda.
And I like him. He's one of the
he has also worked on some projects, specifically for the Ugandan filmmakers. Are they getting the lion's share? I want you to break it down so that the
he went alone, he was arrested, and many artists were at their homes sleeping, not even posting 3 hours water.
Thank you so much.
What would it be a possible candidate for your campaign?
I respect a local filmmaker. I think
we will never convince anybody that we actually tried anything if
that locality has not benefited us. For
starters,
because it's where we've been the longest.
Yes, we've been in our locality longest. And when you ask any filmmaker what
of trying to see that our sector makes it to the
localized
Mr. Luswata was one time a very remarkable
it is a handful of filmmakers
highly celebrated. You remember the Muktano?
The idea
in Nairobi? No. You remember the Muktano? Answer the question. Muktano Junction.
That have been
Mr. Luswata was at the peak, at the helm. Mr. Luswata would organize concerts,
to the Ugandan filmmaker,
and it would be filled up.
My humble appeal would be, let us
and I think along the way,
a new era of looking at bigger audiences.
And now
Uganda is simply 47, 46 million.
I am sorry.
About
I have high regards for Mr. Luswata.
But now imagine when we are talking about 6 countries,
I don't know,
we are talking about approximately a population of 200 million people. So of the 200 million people, 1% of the 200 million people is enough.
I am not this person.
I'm trying to benefit from their work.
I know of
let us stop thinking local. Let us think market. The advantage with thinking market, with having a market perspective, you stop thinking about your family, you stop thinking about your network, and you think about your customers in the broader sense.
So they failed. They gave them money. Use the right terms. They gave people money to do films. The people that were given money either ate the films with the officers in UCC or the films were crap that they couldn't
to enable a filmmaker have a platform where they can probably put their content after production. So if you've been producing content for your community, your people, your village, local direct, I think it is high time time that we also explore these other avenues. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to produce content in our local dialect, but as you produce, be mindful of your market. For instance, put subtitles. We have a bigger community of Swahili speaking in the region.
I look at a country like Tanzania.
So, you know, it is in Uganda where they look at a person who speaks English as an intelligent. In Tanzania, even in court, even in parliament, it is Swahili. So for them, English is not a language. You go to Kenya, English is more of a second language than the first language.
That's where the numbers we are.
And that's where the numbers are. That's, you know, we are talking about consumers of our content. So it is important for us to start thinking,
and they keep them and wait for UFF.
We can sit
on the
negotiation table with
so they wait for UFF,
our fellow colleagues from Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia. So let us embrace
who are always tasked to
a market that is free from the borders.
Yeah, when you talked about local filmmakers shifting,
usually find that by the time the nominations are out, you have one film premiere.
It brings me to the point that
I know
what they have been doing over the years.
Which one else has premiered?
It's the time they change. And if the way they used to market their work was to get your content, probably take it to a store, bring it directly one-on-one onto people, into communities. The market that is being talked about, that was part of also the outputs from this summit, is a digital market, because we are living in a digital age.
So I cannot ask you as people in attendance,
even the normal people, the normal market that we understand,
where something that creates their attention.
People no longer go to
because when you have the nomination actually out,
go and order whatever they
people
want.
are going to talk
a lot.
Is because they don't know this film.
And as part of the outcomes
coming later in the festivals, maybe it should be a requirement.
The platform
many times
known as the Stream East platform, which is what we are calling the market in this particular discussion. I wanted to give a brief background about Stream East. Are you in agreement as we digest it fully?
There were claims that
you've already said it all about Stream Films. It's basically a market. You know, we've
because of the conflict of interest, I want to believe
as Palwood, we've had a longer history of trying to create markets here. And you remember in 2020 when we came
in the first place, I would first and foremost put a category
and our shortcoming
for the commission, so that I eliminate the conflict of interest. You know,
so we've had
it's
quite
like you're telling me
a longer journey.
If UCC commissions a project,
we came to
that
realize
project
that
ceases to be a Ugandan
most
project.
of
That
the
is
service providers
for starters.
So
what UCC would have done,
primarily interest,
they would ideally put a category
unlike
of
others,
commissioned
is a
projects.
platform that
The commissioned projects would compete as
we are
commissioned
trying to ensure
projects.
that we
and that's why I'm telling you, we have a problem of
content
creators.
creators
We are mixing
will
the
have
film
their
festival with
interests.
film awards.
Yes.
That we don't understand
paid
things.
attention to.
And the problem is our officers in UCC
like
have closed their minds to learning.
Not to say that
the
all our
moment
partners,
they open their minds,
all
these ideas, you can't do the right
we
thing
still
for the
have
sector.
partners that we are working with when it
Douglas
comes to
Bender,
distribution.
I think
But
when he
comes
made this
to
submission,
online
the truth was boiling
really
within him.
identified that probably
The
we
truth
need a
that
platform
people make films
that
and only wait
understands
for
and
the
looks at
UFF.
the interest
Now,
of the content
a person who is closed-minded,
of a
they don't
filmmaker
realize
in
that
particular,
filmmakers don't have
fans.
anywhere to take their
Stream
films
East is
other than
like
the
any ordinary,
UFF. I'll take you back to the 300 films, 300 plus films that were submitted, and we are only looking at the 16 films that were nominated. It means if you are a responsible officer within UCC, you would ask yourself, where
and to the
are
world,
the
of course,
290
because
films
we've
going to be sold?
integrated payment,
What is the opportunity that awaits for the
have
290 films?
visa
Ideally,
card
what we are
provision.
telling
So
UCC,
even
that having a
audiences
film
beyond
market
Eastern Africa
would
can actually
ideally
access our
be a
content
good
via that.
platform for
We
all
are
the
trying to
filmmakers
finalize
try.
the
And from in there,
app
you would now
or Play
come
Store.
and
We
start
believe by
appreciating those
next
that
week
are
it will
performing
be
better than the
available.
other.
It will be
When you
in
fail
production
on that,
for
we are
our
not
customers
getting
on Play
something
Store.
wrong.
But the
Now,
site as
Kasule
of now
being
is
a
fully
stakeholder,
operational.
a key
So
stakeholder
when
in
you
the
go
sector,
to
the truth, irrespective of
your
his
Google
paycheck,
Chrome,
the truth was
the
filed
search
within
engine, to the
himself.
search
And
engine, type in
finally, he mentioned it. The sad bit is the
www.easternafricafilms.com.
platform.
You'll be able to explore and
addressing
watch
an audience
Eastern
that is
Africa
closed-minded.
content. So it's no longer just about
Mzee
Ugandan content. It's Eastern
one
Africa
of the
content.
key
And that's why we are
highlights
streaming
from
this.
this
So
year's
Mzee, all
nominations,
said,
the big question is,
and
you
I want
talked
to keep in
about
mind that
it being a platform that is open. to filmmakers. The big question, however, is who qualifies? Anyone qualifies into the film industry.
Yeah, when we came up with the idea of creating a market for filmmakers,
and
the point was to make it.
I want to believe you're part of the Producers Guild. Do I have
for everyone? We don't want we want to walk away from the selected. One led by Nana Kaga because she's the one I want. That is already trying to censor us, and then yet they're not giving us anything. The extremists as a market is open to all filmmakers. If you could notice, yes, it's an initiative by Hollywood, but if you could notice, during the summit we had the Film Producers Guild of Uganda, they were well represented by the president, Mr. Mafinawiso, because it is something that we believe, even though you don't want to be part of Stream East, we want you to pick inspiration and probably do something like this, because at the end of the day, we are winning as a sector. Each person you introduce to digital consumption of content is a win to the entire sector. Yeah. This is what is going to define our market work tomorrow. Okay, so basically, we have limitations. Still, working as individuals has not gotten us any far as creatives, as filmmakers. But this time around, we are saying for each jurisdiction, for each country, for you to have your content onto Stream East, you either have to be an organization,
First thing I want to say personally from my
you have
perspective,
to go through an organization that's already subscribed.
Empowering to hear new blood.
You're not working with
these nominations.
No, not at all.
I think Marola is the only veteran.
Of an organization.
And I say that with the utmost respect because honestly for me, yes, there's capability, but unless you give the new people in the industry a chance to showcase themselves and reward them for what they kuba fetwazirwana nemulindo asimanyi oba isewaatya but ne Hassan Mage oba yayiseewo atya nabadde manyi nti honestly this time around it would be so fantastic, like I said, to see these young kids that have literally laid mud,
unlike YouTube who
have laid down,
now we don't
I wouldn't say laying down their dreams, but in trying times. Honestly, when we're doing film, yes, the struggle was there, but they've undergone so much COVID, disappointment, all that, and still managed to come up with some really fantastic work that we've watched. Anyway,
the difference is with Stream East, every penny you pay, you are supporting a local filmmaker.
And you were telling me which one. Okay. So how is Stream East linked to the new film?
Some part of the
film ecosystem, you know, to the new film distribution ecosystem.
I would want to appreciate, like I said, the world is getting for waking up to the reality. And you know, everywhere you go right now, I think very soon we may even normalize sitting for exams online.
Actually, it's already happening.
It's already happening. Thank you very much. So, when you look at Stream East, we are not going any different, because at the end of the day, at the moment we do something that is known, that people don't relate with, it also risks acceptability, because you know you're introducing something and people are not familiar with it. But to this side, to an advantage, we are trying to embrace the digital evolution. We are trying to walk by what is happening. You know, young people today, when you tell them about the analog way of film distribution, you know, the VHS, our VHS tapes, they no longer have the time. So people are watching content using their phones. Content is right in their hands. So we are trying to reach our audiences in real time.
Okay. When we discuss faces, we cannot run away from the issue of money. And money within the creative sector.
But
I'll be specific. They are collective management organizations that you know are responsible for collecting revenue. Revenue shares for content creators, be it artists or filmmakers. Now in Uganda Federation UFMI is the CMO for filmmakers. Now we are using the summit as the case study to digest this conversation around distribution. Now, as an outcome also from the same summit was the signing of the reciprocal agreement between the CMO
a film industry is that kind of excitement. So because they don't know, they are close to the world, they think
how
they're being the first,
does this reciprocal agreement
so
signed between these two countries, between UFMI and Kosozo, UFMI Uganda, Kosozo Zanzibar, how is it beneficiary to both the two institutions? And what does it mean for the local filmmakers, both here in Uganda and in Zanzibar?
UFMI was,
and I think she needs to explore
UFMI was given a license, I think, in 2009. That's when it was given a license as a collecting society. And as far as I know, to my understanding, UFMI has not had a reciprocal agreement.
They are the market spaces of Uganda.
Yes. So today, currently, as we speak, there is always a first step. I think it is a right step in the right, a first step in the right direction for UFMI as an audiovisual collecting society to have a reciprocal agreement with some other with a fellow collecting society outside Uganda. And I trust this is just the beginning. A lot more is yet to happen. We believe after the reciprocal agreement with Kosoza, the corporate society of Zanzibar, we believe other collecting societies are going to come on board. Already Malawi, I understand, because we also try to use the opportunity of the stakeholders coming together for the summit.
Actually, I was going to ask the question that during the summit we had a couple of member states that took part. Why did we see only Uganda and Zanzibar sign? And what had happened with the rest? Why couldn't be a cross-reciprocal kind of arrangement for all in terms of signing?
Yeah, it was intended to be that way, but if you got evidence there, so somehow we missed out on the collecting society from Malawi. But as well, during the mobilization of these stakeholders, it was on who is willing to move in the right direction. Yes. And you may find that in some areas, the collecting societies are not yet there, but in some areas we are not able to reach them on time, and you can't wait forever.
Understand also, because CM always deal with money, and most of the times it has happened here in Uganda, it's all the same was happening in Kenya. CM are also one of the biggest challenges it faces internal and kind of power struggles and distribution of royalties and all that. But Muzei, for a local filmmaker, this reciprocal agreement between Uganda and Zanzibar, does it mean that now our local filmmakers in Katwe, in Nabulagala, in Makerere, Chikoni there, does it mean that now their content they will make direct money in Zanzibar, and their revenue and royalties will be corrected, and they shouldn't worry? Because